In this episode, we talk to Andrew MacDonald from Perth, Ontario. Andrew is a family constellation practitioner and certified Four Gateways coach. He does a lot of writing and coaching with both men and women and has done an awful lot of work with men specifically. He is a focus trainer and describes himself as an original hippie and lifelong lefty who is now a staunch conservative. I'm really excited to introduce this next session. Andrew MacDonald is someone I've done a lot of work with. He's from Perth, Ontario, in
Yes,
Canada.
not Perth down under, but Perth.
No, true.
Yeah.
And I've had the great privilege of working with Andrew on a number of occasions, and I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about men and men's mental health and so on. So welcome so much, Andrew. Welcome to our podcast. I'm also joined by my co-host, Leanne Kansler, which I should say. Because I usually say that. I usually say that she's there. Yeah. So
I am here. Andrew has done some amazing work, and I've been getting his email. So, if you're interested in what Andrew has to say, I highly recommend that you subscribe. He has some wonderful insight into men and women. And I'm really keen to hear about your new learnings about what you've gathered in working with men recently, Andrew.
Thanks, Leanne. Thanks so much. Yeah. I guess if there was a theme or a few words that I could, a title that I could put my learnings and my understanding under, for men and for women, it's recovering manhood and recovering womanhood. And it's kind of new for me to be using the language of recovery, but I think it's really apt because I think we have lost a great deal over the last few generations, so that people are growing up very, very unsure of what manhood and womanhood is. And that loss is really interfering with our ability to be happy together and to find happiness together. The core message is that, and this is one I'm learning too, is that there's more value and power in traditional roles of male sex roles or male roles and female roles. There's a lot of value in there that we have swept under the rug or forgotten or left behind. I'm 3 generations aware of the new changes in the dialogue around the conversation around men. I'm an old guy now. I'm over 70. So I can remember back when there was such a thing as automatic or unconscious traditional masculinity. When I came of age, I didn't subscribe to, I immediately bought into the new 110% as a young man, because I wanted to be part of the social scene. I wanted to belong in that. But I'll spend some time, if you're interested in hearing more of it, about what it means to recover our manhood or our womanhood, and what the benefits of that might be.
So I think it would be really interesting to clarify that.
How did we lose it, Andrew?
Yeah.
Well, that's a really big question, but to narrow it down and chunk it down is around that time there was an ubiquitous conversation, similar in its pervasiveness almost to the conversation around COVID. Remember how extensive the news and the commentary and the everything was around COVID. That same thing happened to bring on side the narrative that men were oppressors and women were victims. And we deeply bought into that paradigm shift. It was everywhere and in every part of society. And my generation fully bought into it. If you wanted to get a job, if you wanted to be successful with women, or for that matter, I guess if you wanted to be successful with if I was a gay man and wanted to be successful with men, I would have to follow along with the narrative or be a pariah. Now I'm doing a group in Ottawa. I'm co-facilitating a group with 10 younger men. I think the youngest I think they're between 27 and 45. And there are 3 generations into the new story, the new story. So their grandparents had first bought into it or accepted it or lived it. Their children did, and their children. I think that what we're seeing now with the widespread gender dysphoria and unhappiness between women and men at the extent to which it is that initial, I'll call it an untruth, that the central fact about men and women is that men are oppressors and women are victims, has metastasized within the culture. And after 3 generations, it's now deeply, deeply held within there. And even people who are working in this area are unable to see outside of that new paradigm. So they want to tinker and play with it and make minor adjustments, but they fundamentally accept it because that paradigm is so deeply embedded in the culture and embedded in our physiology as well, because we grow up with it as children, and you can't extricate yourself by saying some affirmations or by a superficial changeover. It's very, very deep in us. So that's just a couple of opening salvos. How does that land with you? Does that make sense, or does it seem?
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm wondering how that acceptance shows up, like in terms of how we relate and how it changes who we are, right?
Well, it changes the nature of the, it fundamentally changes what is acceptable. Our perceptions of ourselves as men or women, and our perceptions of the other, and what game they're playing, what storyline they're inhabiting. So that we're continually calculating that as we're trying to find a way to advantage ourselves with others, and so we're continually monitoring that narrative, and the way we're doing it. The story that we're monitoring is very different from the one that, over the vast reaches of human evolution, we look back into Greek literature and the stories of the heroes and the tales, what we know of the past, there was an entirely different relationship and dispensation between the sexes than the one that we currently inhabit. So our current understanding is resting on top of a much deeper one, which I would argue is still available to us and still an underlying biological and felt truth in our consciousness. It still is there. So it's recoverable. That's why I speak about the recovering manhood and womanhood, but it's still there.
Yeah, definitely. I see a lot of that with couples that I work with, where there's almost a sense of confusion about who they are in the relationship, who they are as individuals, who they are as men, who they are as women. It's almost like it's society and expectations of individuals has come so fast that we can't keep up with it, and it's just led to more and more confusion.
Absolutely true. And it also can't be questioned. So when you ask why that happened, Leanne, that primary thing, it may be beyond our short time together, but that new story came in so widely and so quickly, like the COVID story did in some ways. It was so everywhere so quickly that one has to wonder whether or not there was some intentionality in it. because it has seriously disrupted the ability of men and women to feel strong, happy, and powerful and loving together. The story is that people never were in the past, but that is not what the historical record shows, and I reject that completely. It's a challenge. It's not easy for men and women, and yet traditional manhood and traditional womanhood, in respect to our relations with each other, we have other parts of our lives. We have our work, our careers. We can have those too, but in our relationships, men with women, women with men, the traditional manhood and womanhood is the source of happiness, security, knowing who we are, and where happiness and our hormonal, feeling great with each other it comes from that relationship based on the traditional.
That's so powerful, man. That is so powerful. Don't you think, Leanne? What do you think?
I do. And I think, what you said at the beginning there, Andrew, about you can't question it is so true, because my mind is going, oh, we can possibly get hammered for this conversation, because there will be a lot of people out
Yeah, possibly.
The truth about this.
I'll tell you, Leanne, I've done, it's challenging for me as well to identify it, and I'm more clear on it today. But I've done hundreds of hours of small group conversations with women and men, and unconsciously, I have played to the women's approval so often in that. And if traditional men have to learn to do what they have to do to be the rock, to be their protector and their strength as part of the relationship. If they don't have that, it's the relationship is going nowhere. And I learned that very, very deeply. So to question that for myself and to risk rejection by women en masse was extremely difficult for me to do, and it still is. But that's what recovery is. Recovery is recovering our traditional strengths and seeing how that works for us. It's not a dogma, but it's to be able to stand in that and find out and to be honest about it with each other.
Yeah, I really like what you just said, Dan, it's about recovering our traditional strengths. It's not about, men are in the kitchen and women are in the kitchen and men are. It's not about that. It's about actually owning our true selves, I guess, without losing the masculine and feminine. And a lot of that is being lost. And that absolutely does lead to a lot of problems in relationship where, it's just, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of expectation that you should be like this and you should be like that. But hang on a minute, if you are like that, I don't like that. So can you be like this instead? Oh, no, that's not really what I want. And there's just so much conflict and turmoil.
Yeah, it's true.
One of the ways to picture the strength of the traditional relationship is I was thinking before this, and there's a short poem, takes about a minute and a half, if I can share that with you.
Yeah.
I think it shows beautifully. I know time is tell me when there's 5 minutes left, Scott or Leanne, if you would. But I think it shows the nature of that relationship, which is based on respect for the contribution of the other. That's the primary thing. We've lost that sense of respect or understanding what that contribution might look like or be like. So I'll just quickly read the poem.
That'd be great, Andrew. That'd be great. Yeah.
It's by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who is a wonderful, wonderful woman. She wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's called Father Earth. There is a 2-million-year-old man that no one knows. No one knows. They cut into his rivers, peeled wide pieces of hide from his buttocks, from his legs, left scorch marks on his buttocks. He did not cry out. He did not cry out. No matter what they did, he held firm. Now he raises his stabbed hands and whispers that we can heal him yet. We begin the bandages, the rolls of gauze, the unguents, the gut. A needle, the grafts. We slowly, carefully turn his body face up. And under him, his lifelong lover, the old woman, is perfect and intact. He has laid upon his 2 million-year-old woman all this time, protecting her with his old back, his old scarred back. And the soil beneath her is wet, is black with her tears. I love that poem because it's a reframe, it's Father Earth, but it shows a beautiful connection of service that he has offered her and that she has received lovingly, and knowing that she's protected and able to do her womanly arts and way in the world.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
How's that feel, Leanne? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to read that again. I'm definitely going to look that up. I think we should print that up in the comments below so people can have a read of it. But it was very, very powerful. And it definitely speaks to that sense of protection and security that really is integral to relationship, where women do want to feel safe and protected, and men do as well. But biologically, it's still there. As much as women want to deny it that we don't need men, and it's not that we need them, but when you're in a relationship, there's no point being in that relationship if you don't feel safe and secure. No.
And it's instinctive for us as men, right? It's instinctive for us to protect. That's what we do.
Yeah, and security can be about emotional security. It's not about money or build me a house or whatever. There's a lot about that.
There is, yeah.
And I'm conscious that Andrew's got, like, I think you said 7 or 8 points you wanted to make. So I'm not sure how many points we got through. So
yeah. Well, I guess for each sex, for a man, when we're talking about happiness, he needs to have standards or things that he absolutely cannot compromise on, and he needs to be willing and able to stand and hold in those, and to say that he'd let the relationship go rather than let those things go. So that's his core, his willingness to stand for himself. So it's a key part of masculine virtue, is that he's standing in his principles, his truth, and his, really, very, very often, it's his surrender to a higher power as well.
Have you got an example of that, Andrew?
Well, pretty well everything is an example of that, because in a relationship, as a relationship starts, women want to test, or it's well known, want to test the guy, that he is willing to hold or able to hold on to his own truth. Can he be led around by the nose? Because she can't trust him or feel safe with him if he can be led around by the nose. So she's going to push that to the extreme. And he has to, in an extreme way, hold on to his own truth. Love her, hold her, but hold on to his own truth well, and be willing to leave it. That's about the man. But for her, she needs to be she needs to. The more she's willing to be the traditional woman who is holding herself for the man, not sleeping around with everybody, valuing herself, her body, her virtue, her being there for the man she loves, her respect for him, and not giving that up in order to to get along because it's Saturday night and she's feeling lonely. That's part of her equivalent. And again, it comes back to traditional womanhood has always prized her willingness to wait, hold herself, and give herself to the man who is willing, who is showing that he has the goods that she really wants.
Yeah, this is really valuable. I'm aware that you have so much to talk about on this topic, and I really want to continue it, and I don't want to rush it. So would it be okay if we continue this for
Another,
We do a part 2.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Andrew MacDonald.
From my point of view, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to. Not right this minute.
Oh, be
but-
awesome, man. Be awesome.
Yeah. If you
Yeah,
want me
for
back,
sure.
if you want me back, I'd love to come. So
Yeah, because I think we won't do it justice if we just get you to list off, the list of
No,
points
you're
that-
right. You're right, Leanne.
because
You're right.
this change in dynamics between people in a relationship has definitely caused a lot of unhappiness, and it's almost like the more we strive for equality, the less we get it. Like it's like you're focusing on stuff that we don't have, and it's not working in relationship. And I absolutely do not. I'm not saying that women need to not have equality. We do, but it's the way that we do it that is not working. We need to, I believe, take a breath, take
Yeah.
a breath, and have a look at what's real. What do we really want? It's like we say that we want, the fast car or something, but when we get it, are we any happier? Maybe not. We say we want to have jobs that pay us $300,000 a year, but then are we any happier? Usually not, because we're overworked. We say we want all these things in relationship, but when we get them, are we happier? And I would love to continue this conversation with you.
Yeah, I think we have to. I think you've got too much to say, Andrew, for us to cut you off in 20 minutes, man. I think we want to hear more, and let's do another one.
Awesome. I'd love to. We can talk about it, what that would look like, and what your, where we go with that for sure.
Excellent.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much. I'm excited. It was great
Thank
to
you,
be here.
Andrew.
Short.
Oh man,
but sweet.
thanks so much for coming on. It's been really cool. Any
Thanks
closing
everybody.
comments,
Thanks
Leanne,
everybody
or-
for listening as well. And I hope that there is more. And we'll do it then.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next
Cool.
time.
Cheers.
Alrighty. Thanks, guys.